Okie dokie. Okie dokie. I need to talk about this one today. Everybody and their mama knows about scam, bankrupt, fraud, but every damn YouTuber thinks they need to make a damn video on it. And I'm like, nobody's saying this. Why is nobody talking? No one's talking about the only thing that fucking matters in the aftermath of something like this. A complete betrayal of trust, a complete fraud in the industry. And no one wants to talk about responsibility, right? Because it's not sexy. It ain't sexy. But I'm going to pull from Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone, 2 different excerpts about responsibility. And on the second half of this video, I'm going to talk about the single most important thing we must consider when investing or trading. And if we were to just embrace this, we wouldn't too be feeling terrible, depressed, downtrodden, broken as a result of that crash. Instead, we would be positioned for the opportunity. Now, I say this as someone that still has some funds locked up on Celsius. So I'm speaking from personal experience of a company that has filed for bankruptcy with my money in their coffers, okay? Now, I wasn't personally hit by FTX, but I did see opportunity with what happened with FTX. So here we go. Responsibility. He had one, but so do we. We have responsibility to take self-custody, not only of our crypto, but more importantly, our decisions, our choices. Crypto is the Wild West, y'all. It is unregulated, so we must regulate ourselves. And that is the beauty of crypto. So if you are just a fair weather fan here for the glitz and the glamour, then be gone.
Be gone, vile man! Be gone from me!
Move on. This is not for you, because crypto was built in response to a corrupt system. And guess what? We have now opened the door to that corruption again, which should point back to the truth of crypto. Blockchain is trustless. Blockchain is trustless. There's so much value in that word. It means that we don't trust the human. We trust the math. And as Steve Wozniak said, Bitcoin is mathematical gold. We trust the math. We trust the open source nature of it. If you're in crypto and you haven't read Nakamoto's white paper, please read it. I've read it several times. I don't understand it all, but I've read it. So, blockchain was created as a trustless mechanism to transfer money. Trustless to create and distribute and then transfer amongst ourselves currency. There's no reliance on a centralized intermediary. Yet here we found ourselves with a ton of centralized intermediaries, and one by one in 2022, we found that we could not trust them, which again points to the gold that blockchain itself is. The hard reality of trading is that if you want to create consistency, you have to start from the premise that no matter what the outcome, you are completely responsible. This is a level of responsibility few people have aspired to before they decide to become traders. So if you decide to become an investor, you decided to become a trader. You just have a different time horizon for your trades. And you must become one of the few that embraces responsibility for your choices and your actions. And I'm speaking to me too, so I'm sorry if I'm saying you, but we. Randomness is unstructured freedom without responsibility. That one still baffles me, but it's true. Page 54. Now think about how you responded to your losses when they occurred. Did you assume complete responsibility for them? Ask yourself these questions. Did you try to identify how you might change your perspective, attitude, or behavior? Or did you look to the market and wonder what you might learn about it to prevent such a thing from happening again? Ultimately, the worst consequence of not taking responsibility is that it keeps you in a cycle of pain and dissatisfaction. We'll come back to that. Part 2. Risk. It's the name of the game. This is the single most important thing we must take into account as traders, is our risk relative to our reward. If you can accept your risk, then you can accept your losses, because you're saying, hey, my potential reward was so great that I'd take that bet again. I would take those odds again. So risk management is the name of the game, and we've forgotten this. So let us be reminded once again from the Terra Luna collapse, between Three Arrows Capital to this FTX and its contagion running through the market. Let us be reminded again. To make it in this market, we must learn to accept our risk, because the acceptance of risk all but eliminates fear. Fear is simply perceived threat. But if we've taken into account those perceived threats as best that we can, then, as Mark Douglas says on page 64, the trader who breaks through the cycle and ultimately makes it is the one who eventually learns to stop avoiding and start embracing the responsibility and the risk. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's accepting the risk. Those are the ones that make it, is knowing that, shit, this happens sometimes. It happened with Lehman Brothers, right? It happened with long-term capital management. It happens in bond markets, like in Russia. Back in the 80s, it happens. And traders sometimes collapse from it. Jesse Livermore went boom and bust multiple times before making $100 million. It's just, there are cycles to this. We must understand that this is how it goes, but we can learn from it every time. Loss is a rite of passage in financial markets. It happens. It happens. Money comes, money goes. We tried to stick to the number one rule, don't lose money, but we have to lose money to play the game. Pay to play. We have to pay to play. Page 135. This is beautiful. When you completely accept the psychological realities of the market, you will correspondingly accept the risks of trading. When you accept the risks of trading, you eliminate the potential to define market information in painful ways. When you stop defining and interpreting market information in painful ways, there is nothing for your mind to avoid, nothing to protect against. You will have access to all that you know about the nature of market movements, and thus you will be in God mode. You will see it all, and you will be able to take the positions that will grant you your financial freedom according to your plan. If that's your plan, Stan, that's all, folks. Cheers.